Hi, Genevieve Jacobs from Region Media, and I'm in one of the very special spaces at the Museum of Australian Democracy. Now, it's a place that holds the stories of us as a people, of our democracy, of our government, of all the issues that have galvanised us as a nation over the many years. But it's also a place that holds personal stories as well. Kate Armstrong is with me. Kate's the Manager of Interpretation and Content Development at the Museum of Australian Democracy. Kate, the role of the Speaker is absolutely integral in the Westminster system. So let's just start with that before we get to the person whose story we will tell today. Tell us about the Speaker and the extraordinary chair, the chamber downstairs.
Yeah, the Speaker's a really, really important role in the Parliament. And there are actually two what are called presiding officers. So there's the Speaker of the House of Representatives and there's the President of the Senate. And the clue is actually in their name. So they preside over the activities, the agenda of those two chambers. So the Speaker of the House of Representatives is in charge of what happens in that chamber on sitting days. And they're actually supported in that role with deputy speakers. So they're not in there for just, the entire day necessarily, but all speakers would always make sure they were there for the critical speeches, things like budget speeches, but also for the really robust question time that we're familiar to see. And they would always preside over those particular activities.
We've chosen to tell the story, though, of a particular speaker who was a person of many firsts, and that's Joan Child, whose office we're in, the office of the Speaker, has been decorated and interpreted in homage to and in reference to the time in which Joan, who was a woman of many firsts, took the chair. Tell us about who she was. Remarkable and extraordinary person.
Yeah, so we've chosen to interpret this suite for the time that Joan Child was the Speaker. In fact, the Speakers all from 1927 to 1988 occupied this suite, but we could have looked at different speakers, but we chose Joan Child for many firsts. So first things first, she was the first ALP MP or Member of Parliament in the House of Representatives, and that was in 1974 in the Whitlam government. Then she lost her seat in 1975, but she was not giving up on the election game. It's not an easy one. And so she actually came back in 1980, again for the seat of Henty in Melbourne. And she actually moved to the opposition benches. So it's very interesting. Her background was both on the government benches in the chamber and on the opposition benches as a backbencher. Then came her time, and she was pretty ambitious. So she actually became the first Deputy Speaker of the House, and that gave her a really nice apprenticeship in learning how to be the Speaker of the House. It's not a simple role. And she was also what was then referred to as the Chairman of Committees, which is kind of odd, but there you go. She was in that role from 1984 to 86, and then came her time to be the first Speaker of the House. And she held that position from 1986 to 1988 in this building, in Old Parliament House as we refer to it now, and then she moved up and was the first Speaker in Australian Parliament House, and then she resigned from the speakership in 1989.
Now, she is an extraordinary woman for many reasons. She's a woman who comes out of the ranks. She knows what it is to work hard. She works in all kinds of roles while raising her 5 sons. She was a widow. She becomes a volunteer. The story it's a story about what Australian politics can deliver to people with grit and determination and the opportunities that can open up in front of them. And that remarkable arc of Joan's story is told in these rooms. We've got the space where she used to hold dinner parties and drinks. We've got the bathroom, which is fantastic, a complete time capsule for those of us who remember growing up in the 70s, complete with 4711 cologne and Sidel hairspray. So this is very much about sort of Joan and what she epitomises as much as the role of the Speaker itself, isn't it?
It is. She had a remarkable background, which I think made her very appealing to an electorate. So she, as you say, a widow, 5 sons, raising them on a pension, which at the time was really quite slim, let's put it that way, working as a cleaner, working as a cook, but had parliamentary ambitions. And I think thinking about her background and the way she had managed her life, she could see the power of Parliament.
I just want you to tell me why the choice to use Joan to illustrate the Speaker's office. Given that there's been a whole run of speakers from Federation onwards, why is Joan the person that's the focus of this office?
I was interested in the Speaker who left these premises which are small, intimate and with elements of 1927 design, and move to really, really spacious digs up the hill. And that would have been a big change for Joan. So she's working in this suite, but she's also working in the chamber, and she's having a completely different physical environment in which to work. So I was keen to look at her role in that way.
We really hope that people will consider how impressive and significant those firsts were and see themselves in the history of this place.
Well, as they say, it's a cliche, but you can't be what you can't see. And so the first Madam Speaker, as she had to be referred to, was an important role model for any number of women considering a parliamentary career.
Yeah. Terrific to be part of it. Kate, thank you so much. I love this suite of rooms. It's so rich in history. I'm Genevieve Jacobs. This is Region Media.